Okay, so remember that they're changing my voice. And as they keep changing my voice, I have to remind you again that I am not gay. So this video is about Judges 4 and 5. It is about Barak and Deborah. And I assume that Barack Obama is named after Barak in Judges. Okay, so keep in mind I always cite Judges 3, how God left the enemies of the Israelites around them to teach them warfare. And so here we see in Judges 4 some of the examples of what God was trying to teach them. And this is also proof that I'm Christ when we look at the arguments being made here. It will be made very clear when I get to the part about Deborah saying to Barak that if she goes with him, that he's not going to have so much glory. It's not in his best interest, okay, because of the course he's taking. The honor, the glory will not be his, but God will have delivered Sisera into the hands of a woman. And the word Sisera, right, it starts with the word sissy. And the word Deborah, scrambled, is hard Ebo. It's Obi hard and Obi har D. And har is another word for Horus. Also, really quickly, what I mean is I quite often cite Judges 3. So anyway, the first section in Judges 4 is titled Deborah. Again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, now that Ehud was dead. So the Lord sold them into the hands of Jabin, king of Canaan, who reigned in Hazor. Sisera, the commander of his army, was based in Haroseth Hagoyim. Now, if you think it's a coincidence that the name is Har-O-Seth, right? Set and Horus are against each other. And Set quite likes to pretend that he's Horus, right? He likes to play God, right? The devil likes to play God. And Horus is the son of God. So he likes to play the son of God as well, thus the fake image of Christ. And the second word there is Hag Goyim. You have the word hag, like the witch is called a hag. And you have the word Goyim, okay? And this has a lot to do with why people who aren't Jews are called Goy by occult Jews and people who have taken on their cultures. Because he had 900 chariots fitted with iron and had cruelly oppressed the Israelites for 20 years, they cried to the Lord for help. Now Deborah, a prophet, the wife of Lapidoth, was leading Israel at the time. She held court under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim. And the Israelites went up to her to have their disputes decided. She sent for Barak, son of Abinom, from Kedeshin, Naphtali, and said to him, "The Lord, the God of Israel, commands you, go take with you 10,000 men of Naphtali and Zebulun, and lead them up to Mount Tabor. I will lead Sisera, the commander of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his troops, to the Kishon River, and give him into your hands." Again, Ra in Hebrew means evil, right? So sissy, evil. For whatever reason, that's how it plays out. And it's Judeo-Christian culture. I'd imagine the Jews had a lot to do with a lot of the sayings that are there, the Masonic wordplay, a lot of Jews and Freemasonry, what have you. Okay. And the groups that were the precursor, right? The foundation of Masonry probably were Judeo-white groups as well. So you have the Kishon River, Kishon, right? And Sisera, Sissy Ra, and Jabins. So Jah is another name for Allah, is a moon deity. Okay, and Sin is also a moon deity. So the evil people are said to be sissies. This thing has to do with Jabin, the king of Canaan. And Canaanites were famous for their homosexuality, and so on and so forth. Okay. Barak said to her, "If you go with me, I will go. But if you don't go with me, I won't go." "Certainly I will go with you," said Deborah. "Because of the course you are taking, the honor will not be yours, for the Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman." So Deborah went with Barak to Kadesh. There Barak summoned Zebulun and Naphtali, and 10,000 men went up under his command. Deborah also went up with him. Now Heber the Kenite had left the other Kenites, the descendants of Hobab, Moses' brother-in-law or father-in-law, and pitched his tent by the great tree in Zenem near Kadesh. When they told Sisera that Barak son of Abonom had gone up to Mount Tobar, Sisera summoned from Harosheth Hagoyim, or whatever, to the Kishon River all his men and his 900 chariots fitted with iron. So Sisera summons his army. Okay. And there's a bunch of foot soldiers, and there's 900 chariots fitted with iron. Then Deborah said to Barak, "Go, this is the day the Lord has given Sisera into your hands. Has not the Lord gone ahead of you?" So Barak went down Mount Tabor with 10,000 men following him. At Barak's advance, the Lord routed Sisera and all his chariots and army by the sword, and Sisera got down from his chariot and fled on foot. Barak pursued the chariots and army as far as Harosheth Hagoyim, and all Sisera's troops fell by the sword. Not a man was left. So Deborah, was a female prophet, had said to him that the Lord has gone ahead of him. Like before I was born, God's plan, God's spirit had, paved the way. And here I am, the essence of God's spirit among people, okay? And keep in mind, God is greater, obviously, and I'm greater than everyone else by far. And I say that because there's a bunch of racist whites and Jews and LGBT who want me to say that God is greater to kind of take away from my majesty to their extreme and undeniable and irreversible disgrace. Okay, so God went ahead of them. And just like those people who try to take away from my glory, it's stupid to contend with them because you're contending with God. It's stupid to argue with me about my rightful place because you're arguing with God. Can you imagine being so stupid that through God's Son that you're arguing with God? Can you imagine being on a council of complete chicken-head idiots who are like, "Hey guys, let's do a magic spell where we argue with God's Son and argue with God through God's Son." I'm fucking retarded. It's hard to imagine anyone so dumb, any gene so pathetic that that's the conclusion they come to as a formation. Not just one brain, but a bunch of brains together. And they're like, "Hey guys, that's the plan." Stupid, stupid, stupid. Stupid is as stupid does. Sisera, meanwhile, fled on foot to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, because there was an alliance between Jabin, king of Hazor, and the family of Heber the Kenite. Jael went out to meet Sisera and said to him, "Come, my lord, come right in, don't be afraid." So he entered her tent, and she covered him with a blanket. "I'm thirsty," he said. "Please give me some water." She opened a skin of milk, gave him a drink, and covered him up. "Stand in the doorway of the tent," he told her. "If someone comes by and asks you, 'Is there anyone there?' say no." But Jael, Heber's wife, picked up a tent peg, and this connects to, I believe, Isaiah with the story of Hilkiah, where there's a peg, and all of his honor and all the people who committed to his course, it hangs on that peg, and the peg falls with a big crash. The things that the peg was holding up come crashing down, and it's symbolic of people relying on a false course, and there's more to it than that, and so on and so forth. So see the story of Hilkiah to understand the tent peg and how it's more figurative than you might think. But again, it says, but Jael, Heber's wife, picked up a tent peg and a hammer and went quietly to him while he lay flat asleep. Exhausted, she drove the peg through his temple into the ground, and he died. So she killed him in an underhanded way. But because that he was the enemy of God, and she's a woman, and other considerations, it basically is saying that it's okay enough. When we finish this chapter, you'll see what I mean. And in the next chapter where they sing the song about it. This also connects to Jeremiah 23:29, where it says, "Is not my word like a fire, declares the Lord, and like a hammer that breaks a rock in pieces?" Also see Psalm 2 and Proverbs 34 and Job 30 and Psalm 18:42. Okay. But anyway, if you have any questions about that, put in the comments. I'm more than happy to explore that with you, but I'm trying to keep this brief here. So she had picked up a tent peg and a hammer and went quietly to him while he lay fast asleep, exhausted. She drove the peg through his temple into the ground, and he died. Of course, this has to do with their brain and different mental states, different spiritual states. It has to do with the Spirit of God wanting him dead, and there's all kinds of applications to the idea, with the idea of the word being like a hammer. So it's not just like a fire, a sharp double-edged sword, sharper than any double-edged sword. It's also like a hammer. Just then Barak came by in pursuit of Sisera, and Jael went out to him. Come, she said, I will show you the man you are looking for. So he went in with her, and there lay Sisera with the tent peg through his temple den. On that day God subdued Jabin, king of Canaan, before the Israelites, and the hand of the Israelites pressed harder and harder against Jabin, king of Canaan, until they destroyed him. Now, I don't want people to start feeling like sissies or something, start feeling like Sisera, but the word jail is like the word jail, right? Going to jail, going to prison, getting locked up, what have you. Okay. And people sleep in jail. And so occultists love to use stories like this to threaten people, saying you don't want to end up like jail. And they might say it just like that. And if you know what they're talking about, then you'll connect it to this story, and that they have goons in jail with occult symbols on their tattoos and so on and so forth, who kill people for social, political, religious, economic reasons, you name it.